Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Local officials in my district in Porte, Texas, have expressed to me their concerns about FEMA rules regarding properties that are bought out via the FEMA program to purchase homes that have experienced repetitive losses as a result of flooding, and we've seen quite a bit of it over the last few years there. FEMA rules prevent the property from being redeveloped in a manner that would not eliminate the risk of further property loss. So removal of these properties also permanently reduces the tax rolls for these municipalities and also the revenue for communities that are not able to expand their boundaries. They have also told me that FEMA's enforcement of property maintenance guidelines for those properties they have purchased has been seriously inadequate as properties have not been kept up to local community standards. Frequently, the properties are overrun with weeds and grass in violation of local property maintenance codes. So, Administrator Grimm, I would ask you, what are your thoughts on revisiting this program to give local communities an opportunity to reacquire and redevelop these properties so that they can be better put to use?
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Under our grant programs, there's a number of mitigation options. Acquisitions is one of those options. It's a voluntary program so that as a community develops its mitigation strategies, the community will submit projects to the state, who will then submit projects to FEMA, and that can happen either post-disaster under a hazard mitigation grant program, under our flood mitigation assistance program that is largely directed at these repetitive loss properties, or under our pre-disaster mitigation program. Under all three of those grant programs, voluntary programs for a property owner to participate in the acquisition, the grantee, the state, and the community, the sub-grantee generally, sign an agreement to deed restrict those properties in perpetuity, as you point out, to prevent future losses. Under our current framework and laws and authorities and program implementation, that does not permit certain development back onto those properties. It has to be compatible with open space. FEMA, for example, parks, recreation, right, preserving natural beneficial functions under the endangered, in line with, for example, this discussion on endangered species. Over the years, FEMA has spent approximately $2.5 billion on acquisitions in those across the nation to acquire acquisition properties, at-risk properties, and keep those in perpetuity.
Okay, and then what advice would you give to local officials who are dealing with this maintenance and upkeep issues? And also, if I could, I'd like to have your commitment that you or one of your officials could reach out directly to the officials in LaPorte, Texas, and work with them to address as many issues as you can under the existing law and FEMA policy.
Yes, sir. We will have somebody reach out directly to those officials following this hearing. And could you repeat that?
Yeah, the first one, what advice would you give these officials when you do reach out to them?
So I think as communities and states develop their mitigation strategies, that's really the time and place to start thinking about whether or not they want to do that activity, because frankly, sir, sometimes when you do the onesies and twosies, it creates a checkerboard pattern and it creates a situation that you're talking about. So working through hazard mitigation planning and looking at long-term strategies and whether or not the community wants to go down that mitigation option.
Thank you very much. This has been an ongoing problem, not only in my district and districts to the west, but also across the Sabine over in Louisiana, where we're going to wind up having lots of neighborhoods and whole sections of communities and cities that are going to be ghost towns. They want to know how to deal with that. So thank you very much. I appreciate you reaching out to my constituents in LaPorte. Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Chair.